Yes, cool. Okay, thank you.
Thank
Right, so
you.
I'm Helga Gunnarsdottir. That's a long Icelandic story for another time, over a couple of beers. But I'm a senior learning technologist at the University of the West of England, or UWE, as we quite often refer it to. And I work mainly in the what's now called the College of Arts, Technology and Environment. And I have to think about that every time because we just change names. But yeah, so deal a lot with anything from arts to computer science. And I'm going to talk a bit about how we have been looking at introducing active learning to students through changing the module, just trying to make this work a little bit better because we believe in the active learning. Um, we're quickly going to have a look at, I'll talk about the module that we have been experimenting on. And I've got some Padlets as well, which I may or may not have posted in the chat. I have posted in the chat, that's fine. And we can go through them looking at these specific interventions that we've done. And I'd love to hear any ideas that people have for this whole idea of introducing active learning. And I should warn you, this comes with a lot of talk of pancakes because, well, yeah, you'll get to it in a minute. So yeah, have a biscuit or something at hand if that's a problem. Hopefully it isn't. The project I'm going to talk about, or the module, is called Group Software Development Project, and it has to be a group focused because of accreditation. So 75% of the module mark have to be relating to group work, and we can't change that. So that really does define how we teach it. Now, we've probably been working together. Raj Ramachandran, who is the lecturer who's been running this, is in the room with me today. He probably can take questions at the end if there's something I can't answer. But we've probably been looking at this since 2017, 18. So pre-COVID, trying to get these students to engage with the active learning that we felt was the best match to such a high, relation and group work. The students come in with very little active learning, and there's a high degree of international students. But that's actually brought us some really interesting backgrounds and work experience. So it's perfect for peer learning, if only we can get them to do and engage. And we've tried to stay as true and as authentic to what it would actually mean to work in sort of international software development in the real world, and is completely role play based. There's about 6 roles that have to take people through the software development lifecycle. So there's the project manager, the tester, the developer. There's a whole bunch of roles that they can take, and they then have to research what that role does, and act out and do their own project as a group. So in reality, what happens in the classroom is that there are 2 parallel scenarios that are run at all times. There is the infamous pancake app, where the lecturer poses as a stakeholder and introduces the requirements that I want a hot pancake in 30 minutes. How are you going to do that? And that sends them straight into sort of requirements elicitation. They then have to figure out, what does he mean to get it delivered? What does he mean by that? And they, that starts that discussion in the class. And that discussion runs through 10 weeks. Not only about how the pancake, but the whole, how do they develop the app, and how have they tested it, and how have they gone back to the stakeholder, and so on. So that's what we talk about in the actual lectorials. And then they take whatever we're talking about in the tutorials and apply to their own group project, which is usually a completely different, much more software related issue. And then the active learning within that group as well is that the lecturer steps back a little bit in the sessions, and one group, and this has all been determined in advance, is leading and presenting. So any concepts or new theories that they've learned about in the week, they will now step up and present based on the pancake app. There'll be another group that critiques that presentation, so they must have done the reading as well in order to actually see how they would have applied the concepts or ideas differently. Students from a third group moderate and observe. And the lecturer is facilitating, pushing things in the right direction, but he's mainly playing the stakeholder. And then in the week, they then go back and apply all the stuff that they've learned to their own projects and create a whole lot of logging, which is quite important. So what could possibly go wrong? They're really not prepared. This is a very different modules to their other modules on this program. Takes them too long to understand what is going on, or that was what we were finding originally. It's not easy to catch up if too much is missed. And sometimes there has been, or in the past, there has been a learning curve in learning the technologies involved as well. And it's got a reputation for being really, really difficult. My personal one is we talk about pancakes. We talk about pancakes for 3 months. Luckily, my kids really like pancakes, so that's okay.
Did any pancakes served? I mean,
well,
back on pancakes now.
Do it. We're coming to that.
Sorry, carry on.
Yes, there are pancakes served at the end, and I have evidence. I'm quickly going to dip into the VLE design because this is one of the things that we've done, and is one of the things that isn't that easy to visually present in the Padlets. But we've gone from doing everything in Blackboard, because that was the only tool that we had, to using Blackboard and Teams in a particular way. So the old Blackboard module used to look like this, and it had various tools that they could use, collaborate, file exchange is like a Blackboard version of a cloud area, but you can't really put folders or anything major into it. It's a bit limited, but this was what we had, and this was all we had, so we used it, and this worked throughout COVID. But since last year, we've been able to start working with Teams alongside Blackboard. We have an integration that makes the two talk together. So we then have to sit down and think, well, can we use this as an opportunity to signpost to the students that this really is a different module, and you are going to have to sort of sit up and pay attention, because we have to get you going from day one. So we completely redesigned the module page, and we decided to draw a very, very sharp line between that. What's in Blackboard are the things that you go and get. So you go and get your reading so that you can do your reading. You can go and get your templates. If you need information on the module, all of those things are actually in Blackboard, but everything that you do is in Teams. So there's loads of things about Teams that isn't quite working for us yet at UA. We're rolling out and piloting all kinds of stuff. All of this stuff up here we don't actually use, but we've used set up the channels. So each group has a channel. There's a help please channels where people can sort of tag everybody so they get quick answers. And each channel has each group has a private channel where they have the full files section and all that kind of stuff that they use to upload their work and use their logs and so on. And then there's been quite a lot of work, like the pinned post I've copied in here. I know you can't see the content necessarily, but basically just says this is how we're going to use Teams and this is how we're going to use Blackboard. And we also go in and talk about that in the session. Student feedback. It's easy to get feedback from the students that engage and have a really good experience. It's not so easy to get feedback from those who don't and think this is just the worst thing ever. But we've had some good feedback about how authentic this is. This is what people have used at work, and we're able to actually explain to others how to use a tool that's very useful when you go out back into the workplace and you have to sit in interviews and say, yeah, I have experience in using Teams, for this particular purpose. Once they get it, once they get their eureka moment, usually about week 3 or 4, they really get it, and sometimes it draws students out of their usual roles and actually, to participate a bit more than they would have done otherwise. So yeah, we passionately believe in this. It's just how do we get as many people doing it as possible. And here are the pancakes. We did go out for pancake not that long ago, and I will just give you my final student quote, my favorite student quote ever. I just need to move this because I can't actually see it. Oh my gosh, yesterday I saw on Instagram some guy was making something and he called it a pancake. And I'm like, oh God, that's a tortilla. But here goes Raj haunting me with all these pancakes. Raj, that's the lecturer over here, in the on the far left in the picture. So yeah, I think pancakes, you just have to say the word and all they think about is this module. So yes, let me get out of here, and if I move over to the Padlet instead, because we can have a look at the other things that we've done. So that was more about the VLE and what we've done, but there's other stuff that we've done as well. Just to get the right Padlet up. Can I just double check that you actually have the link as well? Because yeah, I did put that up, didn't I? My brain is not working the best today, so I need to screen share this.
It's in the chat.
Thank you so much. I'm going to screen share this one and share. Here we go. This should be fine now. Cool, thank you. So you'll find the slides for the sessions if anybody did want to read more about pancakes over there. I'm going to start with the pre-module information and setting expectations. So I think that this has often been the key, and we have tried so many different things. We have 2 intakes a year, and we probably worked on this for 5 years. And we have done everything from turning up before the module started. We have played good cop, bad cop ones. That really that didn't go down too well. There were a couple of people that got really scared. We have brought in students, former students, to talk about their experience. We have created videos from former students talking about their experience. And we have we started a student academic partnership for a bit as well. We ran one of our academic years was with the student as an academic partner, where we had one student who had been on the module before take the students and just try to take them through what to expect on the module in the first instance. You know, the things that have really worked for us, I think, this year in particular, you know, what we are basing this on is that there is a slight increase in the pass rate. And I think we see a slight increase in students that are actually taking part in the actual module discussions and so on. So that's what we're basing that on, because it's difficult to say exactly what effect this has, but especially when you are most likely to talk to students who actually really loved it afterwards. The new layout and working in teams has had really good, has had some really, really good feedback. And I'd love to hear if anybody else has any tips and tricks about how do you introduce a module. So yeah, please feel free to go into the Padlets and add that when you have a moment.
Just to let you know that you've got only a
few minutes. Yeah, that's fine. We're nearly there. We've already talked about the VLE things that we've done, so I won't go into that any further because I've shown you. The support during the module run, we've also tried to, you know, I think the big difference that we made that one year where we had the student partners was to try to get them to manage the group issues that constantly happen. You know, we don't have a HR department on the module, could really do with one. For all those little grievances that happen during the day. But we've come up with a clear escalation procedure, and the student as an academic partner worked really well. That we had such a good we had a really good experience doing that, both I think for the student and for the teaching team. However, it's the longevity and the constant funding and so on of that you know, questioned a little bit what we could do with that going forward. So we weren't successful in continuing with that, but it was certainly useful to have a student that could actually be there and talk to the students from a student's point of view. The other topic that we've done a lot about was group formation, like how do we form groups? We have tried interviewing them, personality type, style tests, surveying them. We've settled on a simple form where they say, this is a role I would like to try that I have not tried before, and this is a role I have done before. and then we allocate on that, because it's too much work interviewing 100 students. It takes days, and we can't really manage that as with the current set of students that are in there. But again, Raj is the amount of randomization and stuff that we have tried. One of the ideas that I love really a lot, but I know is completely unworkable, is that next time we're going to do it by zodiac signs and see if that works better. We're just trying to make these groups gel a bit better. But yeah, that's the group formation, and that is literally what I have to share. And I'd be really happy to chat to anybody if they've got questions.
Thank you so much. Yes, absolutely. We've got a couple of minutes for questions. So
let me
if anyone has any questions, please either type them in the chat or unmute yourselves and ask the question.
I can breathe again. I don't have to speed talk
anymore. No, yes. Oh, there's a question about the zodiac signs.
Oh, the zodiac signs. Yeah. So Raj has got theories about which ones go together. And but yeah, of course we're not going to do that. It wouldn't work. We wouldn't have that kind of information about our students. Raj, yeah, what's your theory? He's here. You can jump in.
I think it's just the case of seeing whether that really works. I mean, it's not. We may not have that information, but I think we can get that probably in an icebreaker to see who is what, and then sort of group them and see if that really works. It's really an experiment more than anything else. So we don't know if it works really.
Fantastic, thank you.
I'd be really, really, really excited to hear from anyone who is trying to do anything similar in terms of introducing active learning on a module or on a program that just doesn't have any, and you know how we get these students involved. I'd be really interested. This is like my specialty at UE. So yeah, my email address is on the slides and on the Padlet, so feel free to get in touch.
Oh, there's actually an interesting one regarding the Chinese or European zodiac sign over there. I think.
Don't get him started.
Yeah, I think we need a separate session for that. What I was going to say was, if you could maybe upload your PowerPoint on the conference Padlet, and also a few pictures of pancakes, you know, I think everyone would really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, and thank you for having me as well, to the organisers. You know, it's good to come around and show the weird, strange things that we do in odd corners of UE. Anyway,
absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing what you do with your students. It sounds amazing.